Welcome back into Indiebnb, folks. Today we are joined by Laura Von Mari, a new indie artist out of LA based, has spent some time in London, got a lot going on. So Laura, how are you today? How is everything
I'm
out in
good.
California?
I'm good. I'm actually not in California right now. I'm on a contract right now in Seattle, but I'll be back in California at the end of May.
All right. So getting a little bit of the Seattle sunshine.
Weirdly, yeah, yeah. Weirdly, it's sunny in Seattle, which it never is, but today's a heater.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's great. Well, you know, obviously I want to get kicked off with, some of your roots, some of the things that what has brought you to this point. She's got an awesome new single we're going to talk about in a minute in the song Spotlight, called Fuck You. But, want to hear, how this whole thing get started? What's the background on Laura Von Mari?
Well, basically, I mean, how far back do you want to go?
When you started playing music, what inspired, that whole,
What
getting into
inspired this
music?
project?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, I had moved to London and was living there doing a music degree there. And I kind of
Mhm.
fell into the dance music scene and was kind of shadowing people in the dance production space. And so I was making a lot of dance music. I was DJing a little bit. I was spending a lot of time with DJs. And I had originally gone hoping to be a pop songwriter and let that kind of fall by the wayside, which I think was a good thing because it meant it like kind of rounded me out in terms of some of my skills. But this project means for me kind of a return to my roots, to pop songwriting, to composition at a piano and not at a synthesizer, at a guitar, and not at a step repeater. So for me, this was about music with narrative and lyrics again. And this was really my opportunity to kind of prove that I could make a coherent pop project with a coherent voice for the first time. So that's what this EP represents to me.
Awesome. Awesome. And you have the EP coming out, I read, I believe, June 2nd. So is it going to be, how many songs is that going to roughly be? And what's the kind of the plan?
Yeah, so there's 5 songs on the EP. The single off the EP is called "Fuck You." I guess we chose for that to be the single because it's an attention grabber, and it's catchy, it's hooky, I think, and we have a music video for it that was just a lot of fun to make. So that's coming out on May 12th, and then 3 weeks later we'll follow it up with the full EP.
Love it. Well, you're a professional in transition. So, like, that's our song Spotlight today. I want to, take us through, that song. There's a lot of different, probably elements to it. And I watched the music video, so we'll ask about that in a minute. But, like, how many fucks did it take recording to get the perfect fuck on the fuck
That's
you?
That's a really good question. What's funny is that like some of them are actually like copy and repeated. I mean, I sang it all the way through, but the original version of the song didn't have that many in it. And I was working with my mix engineer and my producer kind of on the ones and twos in LA. And he said, he had a lot of industry experience in pop production. His name's Greg. He worked for like he helped mix like a Rihanna record, and he'd done some stuff with Britney back in the day. And so I really trusted what he had to say. And he was like, if I were you, I would drive it home. I would put some more fucks in that. I would repeat this, is what he said.
Yeah.
Like if you want to say it again, fuck you, then say it again, fuck you.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We kind of he helped me with the arrangement of the song because the song existed kind of already exactly as it sounds like in that full form before I brought it to him. He just added it in a second time on the end of each chorus, or a third time or fourth time. I don't even know. I think there's like at least 8 in each chorus. I haven't counted it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like it. There's added fucks in there. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, how
I
many
like
fucks
that.
do you have to give? I think the popular answer is 0, but I would argue I have too many fucks to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a rebel here.
I like it. I like it. Well, you mentioned you were in the dance scene. I believe your name was, I'm gonna, Kiersey.
Kersey, yeah, yeah.
Kersey. Oh, so when you were when you were making "Fuck You," like, did you have elements like obviously working with a mix, person mixing the music, like Did you have any elements that brought you back to some of the, your foundation over in London with the dance music as well? Like when you were trying to kind of go into it?
Yeah, so this stems for Fuck You started in a studio in London before I brought them back here to the US. So like the vocals you're hearing were recorded on a Neumann U80. What's it called again? The Neumann U82, U83. Am I saying that right? That
I have
famous
no idea.
microphone that we all love. It was recorded on a Neumann in a studio in London, and it was recorded primarily the synths that you hear in there, multiple of them, are a vintage Juno synthesizer, which was something I was messing around with a lot because of dance music. So I think I remember the day that I came up with the chords for this. I was working on like a dance track, and I played chords that were kind of a little bit more, you know, jazzy, as I think you
Hmm.
can hear from the song. There's some shifts, some movements in the chords that you wouldn't maybe traditionally hear uh, in a lot of pop music or in dance music. And I was just like, oh, I think I'm writing kind of like an indie kind of slightly jazz inspired pop tune right now. And so I just leaned into that. Um, but yeah, so the Juno synth was a big part of my dance experience, and so I just brought it over to the pop sphere.
I like it. I like it. Now, do you feel like that part of your era like has helped you, in recording the EP here and just being able to know, I know they're not exactly the same, but like being able to know that world a little bit, because has that brought some elements into, some of the EP, kind of obviously you wrote this one at first on some of the like, synth, recording. So has it helped at all, with your work that's coming out there in June?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of these songs started in London, which is a couple years ago now, but I think maybe that's something that people maybe think that they're hearing it for the first time, and so therefore it's very new to them. A lot of things I learned in London from some of my mentors that like the hit songs that I was hearing on the radio were started in 2014 and didn't make
Yeah.
it to the radio until 2018. Some of these things that feel fresh and new to us have actually been on someone's hard drive in some form or another for years. So that's kind of, so I brought like a lot of these songs, except for Fog, all of these songs at least started um, in a studio somewhere in London. And I definitely would say that working in the dance industry, or like working in the in the background in studios where dance music was being created, and getting to learn how vintage synthesizers work and getting to put my hands on a drum machine for the first time that wasn't in a computer, that was like a real vintage drum machine, like a Linn drum machine. Definitely informed, I think, gave me more tools, I think, to express myself, even as a pop artist. I mean, there's tons of crossover. Like, I don't know that you can say where pop dance ends and pop begins. I think we all know it when we taste it, maybe. But yeah, they were all really informative experiences, and I used a lot of analog synthesis on this album to program bass lines. Not all of these are played on. All of the bass lines are played on, an actual electric bass. Some of them are actually a Juno or a Jupiter, or um, yeah, we had this Roland in the studio that I think I used for one of them. So definitely.
Cool. I like that. I like that kind of, melding the worlds together. Although,
Mhm.
nowadays it seems like there's, like you said, there's a little bit of a lot of crossover between those two.
Mhm.
One of the things that there's the lyrics are pretty, pretty stark compared to the melody and the overall vibe of the song. It's, you would think you're writing a harmless love song to somebody, if you were to take the words out of it, but then you put the words in and it's like, man, okay. So, talk about writing those lyrics and talk about, that, process and what, obviously there was some kind of heartache, some kind of, event that happened. We don't need to dive into that. I'm not Dr. Phil, but like obviously it inspired you in some way. So I'd love to hear about, writing process of the lyrics part of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think I really like making music that makes me feel good. And so for some people are like diehard Phoebe Bridgers, I want to cry in my room. And there is a time and a place for me when that is absolutely what I want. But in terms of the music I feel compelled to create, or at least I did a few years ago, that has led to this EP, and that I definitely still write music a lot like this today, is that I write it because I want to feel good. And so I tend to write these songs, like you noted, that are kind of harmonically like sweet, harmonically really fun or bouncy, or sound like lush, or um, like, yeah, harmonically rich and beautiful. And that you wouldn't necessarily think that I would pair something compositionally that sounds like that, with such verbal salt, I guess, because the song, for anyone who hasn't listened to it or hasn't listened to it in its entirety, is obvious. It's called "Fuck You," and it's basically about a relationship that went sideways because the person I was seeing had more of a love of kind of being the center of attention, and liked to party hard, and liked to, I don't know, maybe just liked popularity a little bit more than they liked anything else, really.
Mhm.
And so I basically just got sick of their kind of like incessantly self-indulgent ways, and was like, listen, actually, you can go fuck yourself perpetually. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm done with this. And so I don't. When did it happen that I put these lyrics with those chords? I don't even think I could tell you. I think if you asked me about any of the songs I'd written, I like, lyrically, it happens to you kind of like in a bolt of lightning. You just are like, oh, like a phrase will come to my head, and I swear to God, I was probably just sitting at the Juno playing these chords, and a melody like na 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 na, like probably came into my head, and I just put words to it, and I was like, oh, I know what this song is going to be. It's going to be this really salty, um, like kind of breakup song, where I break up not just with a person, but with everything they represent.
Yeah.
So, and I
Love
like
that.
that juxtaposition. I like it. I like it that it's on the surface kind of like Lily Allen's "Fuck You." I don't know if you ever heard that song. That, like, it didn't
Uh-huh.
inspire me at all when I was writing the song. But when I finished it, I was like, oh, that's another perfect example of like this really bouncy, happy way that she sings, and very happy melody, juxtaposed with this really salty message of like, fuck you and everything that you stand for.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. And it definitely is it's a catchy song. Like I've listened to it a couple times and I'm like, man, all right, like I'm gonna be singing this and people are like, damn, dude, like what's wrong with you? Like that's like a weird, like, you got that like you're happy, you're like smiling, but you're telling me to fuck off, and like I don't
Yeah.
get it. But
Well, but
um
doesn't it make you feel good to tell someone who
yeah.
deserves to be told to go fuck themselves to go fuck themselves? You
Yeah,
know?
and it's rare that you get to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes most of the time you got to internalize it for whatever other reason, but I think that that's a case where if you get to do it, it does feel that much sweeter.
I think most normal human beings end up in the shower 2 days later going, I know what I should have said. Like everybody ends up somewhere like on a long drive 3 days later. And I was like, I actually think I'm furious with this person. And I didn't express that in the moment. And I think music, art, poetry, any form of expression that happens after a feeling or during a feeling gives you the opportunity to really, in a really raw and authentic way, say exactly what's on your chest.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
It
Well,
was
the
fucking
music
good.
video is interesting. Like it's like a scrapbook. It looks like a ton of photos. Is that just somebody Like, is that the actual person, or is that like who is in the music video? Is that
Oh
or did
yeah,
you?
no, that's an actor. Her name
Okay, all
is
right.
Angela. She's really sweet. She's a really nice person. She definitely does not deserve to be told to go fuck herself at all. She is wonderful to work with.
Awesome. I was like, man, this would be a wild turn if this is the actual person, and
That would
we
be
have just
hilarious.
all these photos in front of them.
That would be hilarious. I don't know that weirdly, this person is kind of like a creative, and so I could see a world in which I float this to her, and she's like, actually, I kind of fuck with it, but we don't speak anymore, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't ask, but like weirdly, I think if I did, she'd be into it. If it weren't so personal, she might be like, oh, but it's really personal, but like that is conceptually hard as fuck. Like
yeah,
reuniting, even though we don't speak to each other, just so that we can make a music video together. But she's very much the antagonist uh in this music video, and so like I can see I could see her being like absolutely not.
I think my favorite part was when the person ate your ice cream, and I was like, man, like that was a fighting moment. If somebody leaned over and just ate my ice cream in front of me, I'd be like,
Mhm.
you kidding? Like that would be over for me. But
By a
you know,
thousand licks.
oh God,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Like, do you know
But
that phrase, like death by a thousand cuts? Like
yeah,
a tiny amount of injustices amounts to you emotionally or physically bleeding out on the floor. Like, I think that's the way these things, it doesn't start with her eating my ice cream. It starts nice and light and fun, and we have a good
yeah.
time with each other. And very slowly, she starts to metaphorically take my ice cream more and more and more and more often until I tell her to go fuck herself.
Yeah. I love it. Well, if you haven't checked it out, video is out May 12th, 2023. If you are listening to this retroactively, go back and listen to it. Yeah, I think it's something that totally worth the view because it really gives a great photo. I think the music video is something that's like lost on our generation because we don't have pop-up video and like that those things aren't as popular as they used to be. But when there's something put together that's awesome, I think like definitely it's always worth checking out to really put a visual to the music, and really get a good flow to it. So that's a really cool piece of it. But transitioning as you like write songs, right? you know, when you look at how you're going to perform them live, do you write that with that in mind? I know you have some dance music experience. I've been to a few EDM shows. It's a very unique experience. I've been to a lot of indie shows. It's a very unique experience. So like when you're melding these two worlds, and not necessarily that all your tunes are going to be like that, but what does that look like for you? From the studio to the concert venue.
That's an interesting question you ask me. Because I don't perform live. Obviously, we've been in a pandemic, right? And so I've been like nurturing these creations of mine kind of behind closed doors, and they're ready to come out into the world. And they're definitely ready to be performed live. I would love to perform them live. My experience with live performance, though, is primarily a handful of like DJ gigs in London.
Hmm.
Um, I say a handful because, like, primarily I'm a studio rat. Like, what I do is I stay in studios. Like, the exhilarating moment for me is sometimes happens alone in a room, or I'll be in a room with one other producer and we'll be like working on something and magic happens and something clicks and you've just created fire. And there's just like this explosion of energy in the room when you're onto something good. That's what gets me going, is the production, is composing, producing, songwriting. um, I wouldn't say no to performing these songs live, but I would have to rehearse them. I would probably want to put together a little band, something that I'm passionate about that I would really want to do. I hope to do maybe over the summer, or early fall. See if I can rehearse and put something live together. But most of my experience is DJing, except for the odd like piano recital when I was a kid.
Interesting. So, will it be like if you were to tour as Laura Von Mari, it would be your first kind of foray into something like that?
Yeah, I know that's really weird to say because so many amazing artists are, to their core, are live performers, and I'm really the
Yeah,
opposite. Like, I make music in this really cushy bubble vacuum that we call a studio. I literally sit in like a padded room and I play things over and over and over again until they're perfect. Live is
yeah,
not like that. Live is, you rehearse and you rehearse and you rehearse, you do it over and over and over again so that you get it right when you're up on stage, and it all
yeah.
happens in an instant and then it's done. I'm definitely very enticed by the idea of performing these songs live.
I love that. I love
But it's
that.
the
Well,
opposite of, I studied production. I studied being in the studio. I studied engineering and production, like being behind the glass.
interesting.
So,
Interesting. Well, you do have, I mean, like, it sounds like you have some experience, as you were growing up with, piano, guitar. You mentioned those two as part tools in your tool belt. So, have you done any other live performance? You mentioned piano recitals. Anything else you've done in that capacity as well, or
yeah,
like,
well, so funny enough, my dad is a piano teacher and has been my entire life. So my first instrument was piano, and so growing up, I did a lot of piano recitals. Um, I played classical at the time, and that shifted once I was probably 13, 14. No, I definitely like I got back into classical when I was like 15, 16, 17, and then I mostly just got into composition and writing my own songs and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I've sung on stage like with a friend of mine, like at an open mic and stuff before. I don't have anything against it. It's just never been a part of my life. I was never that kid who was in bands growing up. I was that kid who was like alone in my room experimenting with like sounds and.
Interesting. Well, I'm excited to see as if you do end up going on the tour, you come
Hmm.
on to Atlanta. I mean, we'll be here ready for you.
Yeah,
Excited to see what
I
you
hope
come up
to.
with on that front.
I really hope to. I wouldn't want to do it alone. Some artists have the fortitude, I think, to get up on stage alone. Um, I I like to be alone a lot when I'm in the studio. I think I would want the opposite experience on stage. I would want to have people with me. I would want to have, maybe I'm singing in on guitar and somebody else is on keys, someone's on bass, someone's on drums. That always intrigued me. But I don't think I was ever like the kind of ringleader kind of kid who could assemble a band like behind me. You
I
know.
got you. I got you. Well, hey, it's all open. You got a blank canvas to work with, and all kinds of different pieces to bring in there. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's just the
you know,
beginning.
yeah, I love it. I love it. With something that's just the beginning, like, you kind of have that time to, how much time did you spend thinking about what this was going to be? Like, obviously you kind of have a vision for, all right, like we're going to do, album, EP release, tour, maybe possibly, but like, I always find it, interesting, like as you look at something like you're coming off a different project and you're focusing on a new one, like, what are some of the things that when somebody listens to your music, what do you want them to feel? What do you want them to do? Is it, how do you want them to react? As you look at this project, as a whole, I go listen through the album. What do you want them to feel?
So what do I want a listener to feel, or what did I
Yeah.
feel?
What
Okay.
do you want to listen to feel?
What do I want a listener to feel? I think I want anything. I would like someone to listen to this and feel fucking anything. The
Yeah.
single, fuck you, I would like them to feel literally anything listening to it. I would like the EP to have the same effect. I think good music is stuff that sticks with you. It isn't always stuff that makes you feel the exact same type of way.
Mhm.
Otherwise, why would I cry in my room to Funeral by Phoebe Bridgers, and why would I dance around my room to Kiss by Prince? I just want them to feel something.
Yeah.
I think the
Well,
feeling, I don't know if I could distill this EP down into one feeling in particular, but I would say it's some form of pleasure or joy or Moorishness. When I lived in England, people would always say, like, oh, that's really Moorish. Like you would like if you put out something at a party, like chips or something, and someone like couldn't stop eating them, they would say it was really Moorish. I don't feel like we say that a lot in the United States, but I love that word. And that's what I think I hope people hear this and want more. Whether that's clicking repeat and listening to the song over again or any of them over again, or whether that's like, oh man, like I can't wait to see what she does next, or I can't wait to keep listening. Just this feeling of wanting more.
I like that. The feeling of wanting more, feeling something, feeling like we want more. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Laura Von Mari, we've got you into the Indiebnb sphere now. Now you have to go through Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. Pete Peterson, 20 questions right in a row. Going to be this or that. So you'll go right down the line. And you got to pick one or the other. So make sure you get that squared away.
You got it.
All
I'm
right, here
ready.
we go. Pete Peterson's party pack questions. Question number one: cake or pie?
Pie.
Salad or soup?
Soup.
Sunrise or sunset? What do you prefer?
Sunset.
I like it. All right. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Touchdown.
I like it. All right, football. Let's go. Night in or night out? What are you having more of these days?
Night in, unfortunately. I hope that
Night in.
changes. I hope that changes soon.
All right, all right. If you were to have a
Feels
night out and
crushes.
one of your dance jams comes on,
Mhm.
maybe from a past life or maybe one, Kissed by Prince, are you more likely to do the robot or the worm?
The worm.
Worm. I like it. All right. We hope for that night out soon. But we got to see the worm on stage. Let's go. Guac or queso?
Guac.
All right. Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Oh, England got you. All right, I like it. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right. Are you more like a ninja or a pirate?
Pirate.
All right. Gatorade or Powerade?
Gatorade.
Toast or bagels?
Bagels.
Bagels, 100%. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Pretzels.
All right. Fries or tots?
Fries.
All right, I like that. Are aliens real?
Ooh, I hope so.
All right, I like it. What about Bigfoot?
No.
Hard no on Bigfoot. All right. Is love at first sight real?
Yes.
All right, I like that. You got a little hope. All right, who are two, that we don't know that we ought to check out that are maybe friends of yours or people we just need to know about that we might not?
Ooh, that you might not know about. Recently, I came across a song by Johnny Yukon on Spotify. I have no idea who this person is. I haven't done my research. All I know is that as soon as the song was done, I listened to it over again. So you and I can both go and Google who Johnny Yukon is because this was a very infectious, funky, fun track. I don't even remember what the name of the track is. I'm so sorry. But Johnny Yukon, and then let's see who else that you might not know about. Well, surely you know about everybody.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, yeah, these days it's hard to know everybody. But I guess I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna look at my most recent because I'm having trouble distilling it down to one.
You were not the first to look at the most recent on there.
I can't choose. Like, how are you asking me to choose this?
We can just stick with Johnny Yukon, and that's it. That's a good answer. I
No,
like
no,
that.
no. You asked for two, and there are more than two artists in the world. Oh, okay. Oh, I'll give you a good one. Mike Sabbath. Mike Sabbath, I just met at a concert recently in LA. He's a songwriter. I know he's done stuff for Ray and Lizzo, and he's worked with a new artist called Eddie Benjamin. But Mike himself has just put out his first project called Being Human, and man, that has some groove. A lot of those tracks are infectious as hell.
I like it. I like it. So we got Johnny Yukon and we got Mike Sabbath with the album Being Human.
It
Mike,
just occurred to me that I just gave you two answers who are men, and I feel like I should definitely give you. I feel like I should
those,
balance the tables. These are just recent. I have a lot of stuff in here, but
throw them in there. Here we go.
I think. Let's see if I'm gonna choose someone. Oh my God! I should have chosen her first. This is number one. This trumps all of them. I cannot get enough of Hope Tala right now.
Oop, Tala.
Yeah, Hope Tala. She has a song called "Leave It on the Dance Floor" that I've listened to at least 15 times because it's super infectious. And even as I listen to it, I'm thinking about how I would want to remix it, and I'm not even sure I could because it feels too perfect as it is. Because I do remix, I do dance stuff a lot, and so I've done remixes before. But Hope Tala, and everything she does is awesome. I feel like one of her songs was on like Barack Obama's. Every year Barack Obama releases a list of like the 10 or 20 tracks that he's loved this year, and like a Hope Tala track was on it in like
Nice.
2015 or something. She's
Hope Tala.
awesome.
Is it Tallah or Tall?
It's just Tala.
Talla.
Yeah, she's British and she's
Tala.
Jamaican. And she is fucking fire.
All right. So we got number one, Hope Tala, number two, Johnny Yukon, number three, your friend Mike Sabbath. I love it. We will this will be ones we check out, and if we reach out to him, we're gonna be like, hey, we heard about you from Laura Von Mari. So
they're way cooler than me. They're way cooler.
well, hey, you never know. People know.
Yeah, you never know.
People know.
We might cross paths in the future. Hope if you're
Yeah.
listening, please.
Yeah, we love it. Love it. Well, all right. We have completed Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. You crushed it, of course.
Awesome.
Like I
Thank
thought it
you.
was gonna, like anything different was gonna happen. I mean, come on. So we appreciate you haven't been on today. And June 2nd, check it out. 2023 June 2nd, we have the full EP coming out. What is it called? So we know.
It's called
Has
Forevermore.
Forevermore. Going to be available via all the streaming platforms, all the things.
Yep.
Awesome. And May 12th, we will get the music video and the release of Fuck You.
Yeah, and on June
And
2nd, I'm also releasing a visual companion, which includes a bunch of B-roll footage, awesome B-roll footage from the filming of Fuck You, edited
ooh,
to all 5 tracks that are on the EP. So that one should be fun.
all right, let's go. I love that. I have one last bonus question to kind of think DJ related. You will
Sure.
be able to give me more context here. You mentioned remixing earlier. Like when people do that, like I guess if you're trying to take like that tune and like bring it back together, like I like sometimes those remixes end up being more popular than the original. So like what does that look like, from y'all's side? Like if you went and remixed somebody's song and it became more popular than theirs, is that kind of awkward, or is it like, hey, like thanks for helping, bridge the gap and make the song more popular, or like how does that work?
That's a really good question. I think there's 2 answers to that question. I feel like remixes started as a way for people to re-appreciate like a song they really liked. Nowadays, they're used as kind of like yet another marketing tactic, which is an awesome one, right? Like, let's say that you're an indie artist signed to, or let's say that you're an up and coming artist. You're signed to a major label. The major label might want to drum up interest in your project, in upcoming, like for example, pop or indie pop project by picking one of the songs off of your album or multiple and hiring or like contracting out a popular remixer, a popular like dance artist, EDM, techno. There's all
Hmm.
different kinds of remixes. There's house, there's garage, there's techno, there's EDM, there's drum and bass, but they might basically pay someone to remix your song with a big name so that they can plug you as an artist into a genre of fans, I think, that you wouldn't ordinarily have access to, right? So if you really like dance music, you probably aren't the type of person who listens to indie rock. But I think if you had like a remix done and the content was good enough, you might drive interest in your projects. I think that's one of the tactics that they use. As for why I remix in particular, I've been working on this passion project for a few years now, where I only remix things by like non-cis men, I would say, like female, non-binary, trans artists, and I've been calling them the femixes, like female mixed with remix, and I want to put that out. But you need permission to release remixes, and so sometimes I remix songs. Maybe an artist gives me permission to remix it, but they've never given me permission to release it. And so they're just like on SoundCloud or something. But it's fun. It's fun because it's a way to reappreciate a song. I really believe that. Like there's this amazing song called "All I Wanted" by Hannah Cohen on the record label Bella Union, which you might know them from like who else is on Bella Union? Is it Beach House? Is that what they're called? That famous
Yeah.
band?
Oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah. So I just heard a song of hers, and it's this really slow, epically beautiful, gorgeous, like indie pop song. And the second I heard it, I was like, I just want to hear this twice as fast. And so that can be the thing that inspires me, is like, this is such a danceable melody, this is such a danceable bass line, like this is such a danceable tune in general, but it's slow. It's not made to be danced to. So like, let's speed it up, add drums, um, make some quick edits, make it into something I can play on the dance floor. And then I do. And then I'll remix it, and then I'll mix it into my own set. Because if I heard this on the dance floor, I'd be like, damn, what's the song?
Yeah. I love that. I just like I always think about like sampling and like rap and like there's different elements to
Mhm.
all that stuff. And like I've always wondered about the remixing of songs. Um, if you ever want to need a DJ name, I
Mhm.
feel like I couldn't go as DJ Dancy Reagan, but like I feel like Dancy Reagan would be a good DJ name. That one's for
It
free if
would
you need it.
be. It would
If
be,
you need
except
it.
for I already have this other moniker that I release music on DJ under called Kersey, which is like the name of the street that I grew up on. Um,
Okay.
it's like a girl's name from Finland. I looked it up once to find out like, but yeah, I just made that my like DJ name because I don't know, it's just the street I grew up on.
I
But
like
I
it.
love Dancy Reagan. That's a hilarious
Hey,
DJ name. Like, have
thanks.
you ever heard of Ross from Friends? I think that's a hilarious name. There's an artist,
No,
Ross from Friends. That's like,
awesome.
yeah.
Big Alice in Wonderland guy because I think that is such a perfect like
Yes, that's a great
it
example.
goes right through.
It's clever, it's
Han
funny, it cuts. Yeah.
San Holo also
There
hilarious.
you go. That's also really fun.
I love it. I love it. Now we're just naming DJs, but anyway, I appreciate you coming on. June 2nd, check out her EP, Laura Bon Mari. I'm going to mess it up if I keep saying it, so I'm just gonna end it on a good one right there. June 2nd, the EP is out. Uh, Forever. God, you just said it 10 seconds ago. Come on.
Forevermore.
Forevermore. Come on, Grant. What are we talking about here? 10-second Tom. All right. Forevermore, June 2nd. Laura Von Mari. Thank you so much for coming into the Indie
Of
BNB. We
course.
appreciate
Thank
your
you so
time.
much for having me, Indiebnb.
Of course. Thank you.